Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit LIONS fans. Let's get to the news. Hey, Lions fans, buckle up because today we're diving into some pretty intense news that's got everyone talking around Allen Park. You know how the NFL offseason is always full of surprises, tough decisions, and roster shuffles, right? Well, this year, the Detroit Lions are no different. As the team prepares for that critical final cutdown day, there are two names that are really standing out as potential cut candidates, and they've got fans and analysts alike wondering what's next for these veterans. We're talking about quarterback Hendon Hooker and wide receiver Tim Patrick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hendon Hooker was a third-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, a guy many thought might develop into a solid backup or even a starter someday. But fast forward 2 years, and it seems like the clock is ticking on his time in Detroit, at least for now. The Lions have made some significant moves at the quarterback position, especially with Kyle Allen shining in the preseason, completing 30 of 39 passes for 335 yards, with 4 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. That's a pretty impressive stat line when you compare it to Hooker's struggles, which have been evident during the preseason. Hendon has completed just 16 of 29 passes for 117 yards, with 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles lost over 3 games. Those numbers don't exactly scream franchise quarterback material at this point, especially when you consider the Lions' depth at the position and the need to be ready for the regular season. And it's not just about the stats, it's about the perception within the organization. The coaching staff and front office are clearly weighing their options, and the performance gap between Kyle Allen and Hooker has made things pretty clear. What's interesting here is that Detroit has kept 3 quarterbacks in past seasons, but with the competition heating up, the question is, how long can they justify holding on to a project that hasn't shown enough progress? Last year, in the playoff loss to Washington, the Lions leaned more on Teddy Bridgewater than Hendon Hooker when it came to depth at the position. That kind of decision speaks volumes about where they stand right now. Are they willing to give Hooker more time to develop, or is this the end of the road for him in Detroit? Now, shifting gears to the wide receiver position, things are just as intriguing. Tim Patrick, a veteran who joined Detroit last season, was a steady presence on the field. He played in 16 games, starting 9, and finished with 33 receptions for 394 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those numbers look pretty good on paper, especially considering he was coming back from 2 season-ending injuries in consecutive years. But here's the thing, times are changing, and the Lions' depth chart is evolving quickly. Rookie Isaac T. Slaw has been impressive throughout camp, and the younger receivers are pushing everyone, including Patrick, further down the pecking order. This isn't unusual in the NFL, especially with a team like Detroit that's always looking to build for the future while trying to contend now. The Lions' coaching staff has a lot of options, and if they're feeling confident about the overall experience at wide receiver, Tim Patrick might be the odd man out. That's not to say he'll be unemployed for long. NFL teams are always on the lookout for reliable veterans who can contribute immediately. And teams like the Jets, for example, could be very interested, given Patrick's ability as a dependable pass catcher and solid blocker on the perimeter. But here's the reality, roster cut season is always a balancing act. Performance, depth, team chemistry, and future planning all come into play. For Detroit, Hendon Hooker and Tim Patrick are 2 veterans who find themselves in very uncertain positions as the deadline approaches. The Lions are known for making tough decisions, and this year is no different. Whether they decide to keep them for depth or part ways to make room for younger talent or other acquisitions, it's a reminder of how competitive and cutthroat the NFL really is. Nothing is guaranteed, even for players with established names or past contributions. Let's talk a little about the bigger picture here. Detroit's roster construction this offseason has been quite strategic. After last year's impressive 9-8 record and a playoff appearance, there's clear ambition to take that next step. The team's core, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and others, are in their prime, and the front office has been aggressive in trying to add depth and talent. But with that comes tough decisions about who makes the final cut, especially when it comes to players who might have flashed potential but haven't yet proven they belong on that 53-man roster. Hendon Hooker, for instance, was seen as a developmental quarterback, someone with a lot of upside due to his athleticism and arm talent. But the NFL is a results-driven league, and the preseason performance has to count. With Kyle Allen playing more efficiently and showing better command of the offense, it's understandable why the Lions might be leaning toward the veteran as their backup. Plus, the team's coaching staff has been emphasizing the importance of stability behind Jared Goff, especially after last year's playoff run, where Goff was crucial in leading the team back to the postseason. At the wide receiver position, the Lions have been fortunate to have a solid core led by St. Brown, whose emergence as a top-tier receiver has been a highlight of recent years. Still, the NFL is a game of depth, and teams need multiple reliable options. Patrick's experience and veteran presence were valuable last season, but with rookies like Isaac T. Slaw impressing in camp, the competition is fierce. The Lions' front office constantly evaluates whether a player's skill set aligns with their long-term vision, especially when younger players are pushing for more opportunities. Now, I want to touch a little on the history of roster cuts and how Detroit has handled similar situations in the past. The Lions have always been known for their tough but fair approach. Under Dan Campbell's leadership, they've emphasized competition, resilience, and making decisions based on performance and potential. They've shown that they're not afraid to part ways with veterans if it means building a more dynamic and talented roster. This year's cut candidates, Hendon Hooker and Tim Patrick, are just the latest examples of that philosophy in action. And it's not just about who's cut, it's about what this means for the team's future. Detroit has been steadily building a roster that can compete in the NFC North and beyond. Their draft picks, free agent signings, and internal development all point to a franchise that's intent on returning to the playoffs consistently and making deep runs. The decision to potentially part ways with players like Hooker and Patrick reflects a broader strategy, prioritizing younger talent and cap flexibility to sustain success over the next few seasons. But let's not forget, the NFL is unpredictable. Injuries, unexpected performances, or late-season adjustments can always change the landscape. Sometimes a player who's on the bubble today can become a key contributor tomorrow. The Lions have shown resilience and strategic thinking in the past, and I have no doubt they'll approach these cut decisions with the same level of care and precision. Whatever happens, it'll be interesting to see how the roster shapes up in the coming days, and how these decisions will impact Detroit's quest for a Super Bowl appearance. Looking ahead, the Lions are once again entering a season full of promise. The division is competitive, especially with the Vikings and Bears trying to close the gap. But Detroit's focus is clear: build a roster that can not only win games but also dominate in the long run. The latest news about Hendon Hooker and Tim Patrick highlights the brutal reality of NFL roster management. Nothing is guaranteed, and every player has to earn their spot every single day. It's the kind of environment that pushes everyone to be their best, and that's exactly what Detroit is aiming for this season. So fans, what do you think about these potential cuts? Are you surprised that Hendon Hooker or Tim Patrick might be on their way out? Do you see other players stepping up and filling those roles? The Lions are at a critical juncture, and your opinions matter. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. And remember, I'll be back soon with more updates and insights into the Detroit Lions' journey this season. Stay tuned because this team is just getting started, and the best is yet to come. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and the Detroit Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news.